Buenos dias, everybody. Tomato clones. I've noticed that some of the tomatoes have taken very well, and then others are not doing so good. Like the Italian back there, it's every single one is doing fine. And then the yellow pear, 3 of them, 2 dead, 1 alive. And this is the homestead, and they're all looking pretty bad. But I'm happy with the experiment. Alright, I got lots of stuff to talk about today. The seed collection for the lettuce mix is going really well. And like I said, all the seeds don't come in at one time. So if you want to get maximum, once they start drying out, you should collect every single day. And the lettuce are inbreeding plants. So you want to get a good mix, a few plants of each kind, and then you should have a healthy seed stock. Lots of the plants have moved off the cart. They're on the rail and getting ready for the move to the garden. We're still suffering with the heat. The dogs have switched their routine to being up all night and in the early morning, and then sleep all day. Great growth on everything. Harvesting cucumbers out the wazoo. So I took the first bell pepper off of that 2nd year plant, and it had a brown spot on the end, and this is a very common problem with bell peppers. And I am going to take you back by the shed and show you how to remedy that very easily. It's usually 1 or 2 problems. It's either a calcium deficiency or an iron deficiency, and I just go ahead and amend for both. Seeing some color on the tomatoes and gorgeous, gorgeous blossoms on the lychee tomato. Just started picking some of the Blue Lake beans, and the watermelon sprawling really good. The horseradish, I put it in 2 spots. It's up like crazy, looking great. Should be seeing watermelon flowers very shortly. I'm getting a couple handfuls of strawberries every other day. But the cucumbers, those early Russians, are just kicking them out. Okay, so here's our calcium problem solved. This is bone meal and eggshell. I've explained it before. Eggshell takes a long time to break down, even if you have worms. It's really good to put it in a gallon Ziploc bag and use a rolling pin to smash it up. You can put that surface and work it gently in with a hand cultivator, a little claw. Same thing with the bone meal. The bone meal is already quite small, and it's going to get in there quickest. And then the eggshells are for more of a long-term, slower release of the calcium. We've talked about the blackstrap molasses as an amendment and to use it in the compost tea. This has iron in it, and it's quite expensive. But if you wanted to go to the cheap route, you could go to a feed store, and this is a powdered molasses. It'll work just as well. I go a little bit lighter on the powdered stuff because I'm not quite sure of everything that they've added to it. And that's why I go for the organic liquid most of the time. This will get really, really, if it gets any moisture or humidity, it gets like, a block in there. So I just use my hand cultivator and scrape it up and scoop out what I need. The thing with this is if you liquefy it, make the compost tea, it's going to get to that plant a lot quicker. So you can add the bone meal and to the tea with the blackstrap molasses. So that's your remedy for the most common bell pepper problem. We'll take a walk out back and I'll show you the squash. I just picked another 4 enormous Russians because I had been trying to decide whether I was going to let it go to seed. But we're getting nice flowering happening on some of the wildflowers and the squash plants. Done some more hand pollination. As I'm looking in on the early Russians, I noticed that I missed a couple and had some fruits that aborted. And there's that lemon apple. I went ahead and tied off, put a little white bow around the cucumbers that I know for sure are pure. I pollinated them. And that'll be used as a seed stock. I had originally, like I said, let some of these cucumbers get quite large because I wasn't sure, when those lemon apples were going to be coming in. But there's so many babies and so many that I've tied off. Little white bows everywhere. Basil doing incredible, pinching like crazy. And sometimes even when you pinch, the flowers still happen if you don't get it all. And there's, one that needs to be pinched, and there's the other ones that had been pinched, but they're still flowering. That doesn't bother the plant at all, the edibility of it. I've stated it before, the flowers of the basil are edible as well. They make a nice addition, pretty addition to the salads. And I'm finally starting to see pollinators. I'm munching those squash flowers too after I use them for the pollination. Great news on the kohlrabi, the first round. It's got some nice bulbs developing. Tobacco taking off. Pole beans doing what they do best, climbing like crazy. And the direct SoCal wonders looking great. Eggplant starting to happen a little bit better there. They were barely visible, so they're coming up nice next to the beautiful basil. And here we finally get to see, we get a peek at the white bell pepper. It's called an albino bullnose. And here's a basil plant that I have never bothered to pinch off. And these will get quite large, 8, sometimes 10 inches long, the seed spikes. Here's a borage finally starting to take off. I've talked about borage over and over again. Even if you don't like the feel of the leaf or the taste of it, still a great addition to have next to your tomatoes and strawberries. They like the same type of soil conditions. Bees love, love, love this. And it's gorgeous blue flowers, and I like seeing all the activity around it. It's usually a much quicker grower than what I've been seeing here. I put in some more tobacco back there, and apparently my sunflowers are not getting enough sun, even though it does get some afternoon back here. And the Thai edible are doing much better. Planted weeks later up by the deck. Seeing our first flower on the okra and fruit happening. And the winged bean. Poles aren't tall enough. Have to figure out a way to remedy that. Horseradish appears to be very, very happy in the submerged sink. That's a pretty one. That is Sunrise Cosmos. Self-sowing. They're always my favorite. And I'm going to show you, take a little peek at the kohlrabi balling up. Best to eat it when it's just slightly under the size of a tennis ball. Anything earlier, you're not getting a lot. Anything later than that, it starts to get woody, is how I would describe it. Gets tough. Transplanted some of the berry bushes from this cluster over here. Looked to be too thick. That's my first year with them, so I had no idea how big the plants were going to get. And the squash sprawling everywhere. The white-ribbed Swiss chard, looking great. It's clustered close, because this is a seed production bed. This smaller one is definitely going to be taken out. Look at how tall the New Zealand spinach is getting. This is going to be my lucky year. I'll be able to get seed from it. And the some of this stuff is just bolting now, getting some flowers. Another kind of garden berry. Not sure, not sure what kind it is. So that's about it. We're looking great. Nice. Those are the yellow pears. And the Anna banana Russians are starting to form nice little heart-shaped yellow tomatoes, or a medium-sized tomato. Collards looking good. Everything's looking really good. I'll mix up that remedy for my bell peppers, and pretty soon I'll have so many I won't even know what to do with them. Alright, we'll talk to you soon. Hope you're doing well. I'm a little crazy still with the berry picking. I've been going out every day for the last week and a half, and I'm up to 64 jars of 12-ounce preserves and pounds in the freezer. Doing some research on how to make wine. So maybe I'll get that on video. See how that goes. If we get a little bit of rain here and there, I should be able to get berries for another 2 weeks. I think I'm going to take the camera, and again, you guys have got to see that I just keep finding bigger and better berries. Samson is enjoying an eggshell. I guess it's not too much different than munching a bone. It seems like it would be a little sharp and it would hurt him. You guys know that? Could you give me some feedback on that? If the dog should be eating eggshells? He's growing. He needs calcium for those bones. All right, I'm going to stop my rambling and get back to work. Arrivederci.